YouTube, hello. Welcome to the live stream for a Tuesday afternoon. And I'm going to be honest with you. The subject and the content of this video is something I did not expect to be making. This was not in my plans, but I'm just reacting to what I saw in Oakland over the weekend and what I saw on television last night from Angel Stadium, the series opener between Houston and the Halos, and not just one, a blow-up garbage can that made its way on the field, but an actual... Was that a recycle bin, like from Angel Stadium, that was somehow lifted up, brought down the stairway, and thrown onto right field on the warning track? It wasn't good, but I'm here to ask the question, and based on what I saw and the intensity that I've been seeing it at, like, are the Houston Astros going to get heckled throughout the entire road season and the 76 games they still have left away from Texas this year? I'm not surprised by seeing this. Again, I know there's been a lot of pent-up frustration among Major League Baseball fans that the way this was and was not handled, their cheating scandal of 2019, and I also realize this is their first opportunity to see the Astros in person. And we're talking about stadiums so far with 5, 7, 10, 12,000 people there. We're not even talking a full stadium of fans, of opposing fans, to go up against the Astros, but you can tell the intensity at which they want to express their feelings. Now, I don't condone throwing a garbage can on the field during a game. I'm saying I understand it. I'm saying I'm not surprised to see this. And I'm also saying that at this juncture, I kind of expect to see them heckled throughout the remainder of this season. But please, fans, I urge you, do it responsibly. And there's also no good way to really do this in a classy manner. Major League Baseball has actually put a lot of fans for a lot of different teams in this awkward position because baseball did not handle the punishment itself. It only really dealt with the skipper, A.J. Hinch, and the front office of Houston prior to this, and they left it at that. No player punishments whatsoever. And so that has only spurred on fans to go after certain players. You also understand that the Astros roster right now is not near identical to what it was several seasons ago when all of these cheating allegations did exist. But it's clear to me that Astros fans are going to hear this, Astros players are going to hear this through the remainder of the season. And they can say whatever they want right now. They don't hear it. Not a big deal. And some of that may be true, the not a big deal part. They hear it. I'm going to tell you they do hear it, whether they tell you that or not. But if it's not a big deal now, is this really going to wear on them at the end of 162 and 81 road games? If you're human, the answer is yes. I don't see how you could get away from that. I also think that it may or may not affect their performance on the field. Heckling is only going to get you in somebody's head. I'm not here to say that all this heckling is even going to matter. But again, I am worried a little bit about the fact that every next road series they play, they're going to try and one-up the next. I don't know where Houston goes on the road after this. I know they come home for a while. In fact, they're about to play the Oakland A's this weekend. But the next road series they play, is somebody going to try and up the stunt one level? I don't want to see anybody get hurt. I don't want to see a fist fight between a player coming into the stands. I don't want it to escalate to that point. But I also understand that baseball has put fans in this situation to be the punishers. It's not good all the way around. And let's talk about something here. What the Astros did, we shouldn't really have to dive into this too deep, but I also feel it's necessary because I did see this narrative over the weekend play out on social media that Astros fans accused A's fans of being the original cheaters and introducing steroids into the game of baseball in the late 80s and early 90s. And then A's fans would obviously go back here into the stealing pitches and stealing signs and banging trash can scandal of the mid to late 2010s and say, well, you won a World Series that way. You're the ultimate cheaters. Let me just say it like this. Knowing what pitch is coming in baseball like Houston did for several seasons in several different instances of the 2010 decade, knowing what pitch is coming in baseball is far worse than taking like 10,000 steroid shots. It eliminates any kind of strategy or mystery out of the game of baseball to know what pitch is coming. At least in football, even if you knew what play the opposition team was running, you're on defense, they're on offense. Even if you knew what play they were running, there's still a couple different options of how it could unfold. You can't cover everybody. Same thing with basketball. I guess in hockey, if you were a goalie and you knew where they were going to shoot on you every time, but it doesn't exist. In baseball, once you've cracked the code of what pitch is coming, what more left is there? It is the absolute biggest advantage in baseball. Somebody who's taking steroids literally still has to swing the bat, barrel up on a pitch that they don't know is coming. And also, I want to make this point too. Taking steroids, from what I've heard, clearly I've got no physical experience, it's less about the muscle buildup to help you hit a baseball farther. Now, that may be part of it. But the biggest benefit of steroids is that you can play 14 days straight without injury, body's not breaking down. You are essentially the same player on day 5 as you were on day 1, day 7 as you were on day 1, day 14 as you were on day 1. Your body does not break down when you're on these steroids, and hence, if you can hit a homer in games 1 and 3, you can hit one in 13 and 14 as well too in a row. So I hope all that is understood, because we're trying to compare apples to apples here, but I mean, this is literally apples and oranges. Both are cheating, and I don't condone any of it. But I think it's understood that, stealing pitches in baseball is the biggest advantage of that sport. And stealing pitches in baseball might be the biggest advantage in all of sports. I can't think of a bigger advantage. I honestly cannot. I mean, the steroid scandal went so far as to Congress. Weren't there federal investigations on the steroid scandal with baseball? How long did we talk about this? For years and decades. And all of a sudden the Astros, do something that may have actually been a lot worse. And baseball fans are just supposed to forget about it. I mean, it's crazy. When I showed up to actual spring training 2020, like February of 2020 before the pandemic hit, it was the talk of every team in Florida and in Arizona. Every day, some new grenade would be thrown across the way. And I also think, too, that, the Astros just have not responded well to any of this. With any humble pie that they eat, there's also a bit of salt that they'll throw right back. And you know what, on that note, and I'm not trying to say this to stir up controversy, but I do want you to hear what Dusty Baker said last night after the game at Angel Stadium, after trash cans were thrown on the field. Because I do agree with Dusty here on some points, but I want to hear his perspective and then react to it.
You can tell the amount of hostility and the amount of hatred in the stands, and how many in the stands have never done anything wrong in their life, or we paid the price for it. How many people have not cheated, on a test or whatever at some point in time? I mean, it's easy. If you live in glass houses, but I don't think anybody lives in glass houses. And, I think that, sometimes we need to look at ourselves before you, spew hate on somebody else. Like I said, it's a sad, situation for America to me. When you hear things, I mean, what are the kids supposed to think in the stands? Or, and some of them are kids, they're following their parents. And it's sad to me. Like I said, people make mistakes, and we paid for ours, and I wish they'd leave it alone.
Okay, I agree. People do make mistakes. I agree. The Astros did make their mistake. I'm not sure that people are ready to move on, because there was never any remorse or apology. Can't necessarily agree. And I also want to say Dusty is going to back his team and his guys, but he wasn't there through all of this. They're so fortunate to have an even keel, experienced skipper like him. But it's hard to go back on a time that he wasn't there and defend any of that. Now I also do want to say the best point to me that he brought up there is the fact that now you have grown adults, men and women, hooting and hollering at the field, taunting players, yes, in front of kids. This is not the atmosphere. And as a father, I'm going to say it. This is not the atmosphere that I want to bring my son to a baseball game at. To hear some of the stuff I heard at the Coliseum over the weekend, and I'm an A's guy, right? But it the typical stuff, cheater, this, that, okay, fine. But the problem is it just keeps escalating over the course of games, and so long as the fans don't see the response that they want from players, like they're just going to dig deeper and deeper. And I agree. I don't want this to get ugly. I do think that part of it is sad, but I go back to Major League Baseball. If they doled out the punishment, fans would say, okay, this happened. This was the result. Really no need for us to intervene truly. I'm not saying they wouldn't. They certainly would in some instances, but now the responsibility to fans feels like it's on them to hand out this punishment. In fact, Rob Manfred, a while back, I think in the original spring training of last season, even said, look at the Astros' faces. You can tell the punishment is taking an effect on them. That's like you're asking fans to be the enforcers of punishment that Major League Baseball should have handed out. So I don't know that I have too much more to say on this. Again, am I surprised that fans are upset even after a year gap of not attending games and that they've not forgotten this? I'm not surprised in the least. But based on the intensity that I've seen so far and that Houston's going to go to all these road cities across the country, I'm expecting at this point that they are going to see, heckling throughout the rest of their road schedule. Because honestly, like last night, the Angels are in their division, but did the Angels get cheated by the Astros directly? Like the A's did. They lost the division a couple years. The Dodgers directly got cheated. A couple other teams could say the same. Direct impact on their seasons because of maybe an advantage the Astros had. But I mean, when the Astros go face the Minnesota Twins, like, what's it going to be like at Target Field? It may be hostile. I honestly don't know. And I have a hard time in getting behind this. I have a hard time saying, yeah, go get them. Because honestly, I understand the sentiment of fans. I understand the frustration, but I don't want to see it escalate to the point of ridiculousness and making the experience of going to a game bad. And again, at the same point, I also see how it's going to wear on these players. I mean, you tell me you could show up to a place 81 times within 6 months and something really gets under your skin. Let's say you go to a restaurant. You just can't stand the waiter there and you keep getting the same waiter or waitress over and over again 81 times in 6 months. Like after 20 times, it's like, okay, I get it. This is, it gets to you. It digs and it stays deep. So I think that's all I'm going to say here about this. Look, steroids were bad. Knowing what pitches are coming is even worse. That's the ultimate hack of baseball. That's the ultimate hack of sports. When I say hack, like you've hacked the game. You've cheated the system about as far as it goes. We know that whole story. I am just really curious to see how this plays out in the rest of the road season. And my message to fans is, look, I get it. I can't tell you what to do. I would hope that everybody is safe about this. Last thing I want to see is a trash can hit a kid, fall on somebody. Like, let's be civil about this. It's unfortunate that it's at this spot, but I really don't know how to make it any better. I really don't. So that's it for today. Had a thought about tomorrow, and maybe let me know what you think about this in the comments section below. Maybe I won't do it tomorrow. Maybe I'll do it later in the week, but would baseball benefit by having a shorter season schedule? By playing 162, by playing every day, is it too much? Would less actually be more for Major League Baseball? Like, football plays 16 games in 4 months, and there's so much time between games to digest, to talk about things. I'm not even saying shorten baseball games. I'm saying play less, spread them out more. I realize it'll never happen. It'll never happen. The finances are built around 162. But if it did happen, would baseball be more popular among the casual fan? Something to think about. We'll talk about it later on in the week. Until then, everybody, be safe, be thoughtful, and I will see you on television tonight.